Hello, I'm Pete Wedderburn, Pete the Vet. I've just finished doing the vet spot on the Pat Kenny show, and now I'm going to spend a few minutes going over some of the questions we couldn't reach on air. And if you've got any more questions about your pets, please just pop those into the comments section and I'll see if I can get to them. I'm going to be talking here for 15 or 20 minutes. Okay, so the first question.
Yeah. So, can you ask Pete if throwing a ball using a launcher is bad for a dog? I have a collie who loves when I throw the ball for him to chase, but I read recently that it's bad for their legs.
Well, I guess anything has the potential to cause harm if it's done in an extreme. But in general, using a launcher is just a great way of sending a ball a long distance, and dogs love running long distances quickly. So it's way better to use that than it is to not exercise your dog. It's way better than using a stick. There's loads and loads of positives for using a ball with a launcher. The extreme thing would be if a dog maybe had orthopedic problems like a lameness or abnormal elbows, and you insisted, despite that, on forcing them or getting them to run and jump by chasing a ball. But I have to say, as a vet in practice, I don't recall any instances of dogs being injured by doing that, by chasing a ball thrown from a chucker. So go ahead.
Okay, so we have cats, a neutered male and 4 spayed females. Over the past few months, we've noticed several of the neighbourhood tomcats unneutered, judging by the smell they leave in our garden, and indeed coming in through the cat flap. What can we do to keep them away, as our poor cat seems tormented and is hiding from them?
Yeah, that's a difficult problem. The only way really is to physically exclude them. The cat flap's the first thing to sort out, and that's easy to sort out. You can get a microchip enabled cat flap these days. There's a really good one made by a company called Sure. And what Sure cat flaps do is they literally, they're locked until a cat with the appropriate microchip comes up, and then the microchip sets off a little motor which unlocks the cat flap, and the cat can come in, and then the cat flap locks again. And the great thing is that there's now the Sure cat flaps come with an app on your smartphone, so you can actually, every time I've got 3 cats and they come and go through the cat flap, every time one of them comes or goes, I get a notification on my phone saying Sushi has just come in, or Sushi has just gone out, or whatever. So I know exactly where my cats are all the time. So that's one way. If you had a cat flap like that, then the stray cats or the neighbours' cats couldn't even come in through the cat flap at all. And that's the first thing you can do. It's a bit more complicated when it comes to your garden. And the best answer there is probably, if you could do this, is to put up a barrier around your garden. There's a company called Protect a Pet, which produce sort of fence toppers, which are like sort of slightly leaning in fencing that goes around the top of your garden wall or the top of the fence around your garden. And what that thing on top of the wall does is it stops cats being able to get out, and also stops cats being able to get in. So essentially it would make your garden into a private garden for your cats, and that would probably be the best answer. A bit of investment to do that, but it does work really well, and it's actually very helpful to keep your cats in your own garden as well, because it helps them to avoid going near roads and other hazards that can cause them problems. So Protect a Pet is that supplier, and I think they do a great job.
Okay, so this comes in from Rona. So hi Pete, we need your advice regarding a miniature Schnauzer as a family pet / therapy dog for a young family of two of whom which have CF.
Well, I think they'd be a good choice. I really like miniature Schnauzers. They're generally quite a healthy, small breed of dog. They've got one of those slightly non-shed coats, which means that they don't lose as much fur around the home as some other breeds. I think the individual nature of the dog that you choose is really, really important, and that applies across the board for any dog that you get. And so what would be really important will be that you meet both the mother and the father of any puppy that you're going to get. Because if they are calm, obedient, gentle dogs, it's far more likely that the puppies will also be like that. And what's also really important in the circumstance you're describing is that the puppies, when they're very young, get very, very well socialised. And that means that they get used to children being around from when they're sort of 2 weeks of age. So you'd want to make sure that the puppy that you buy comes from a sort of family type environment. So as the puppies grow up, they're already used to everything that happens in a busy home. And a puppy like that is much more likely to be the sort of dog that you want to have as a pet. I would also say to you, don't necessarily get hung up on getting a puppy or getting a particular breed, because I've known many instances where people have got dogs from rescue centres that have turned out to be fabulous dogs in every way imaginable. I had an interesting one in with me this week, somebody who wanted a housemate for they had 2 dogs and 1 dog died, so they wanted to replace the dog that died with another dog. And what they did is they went to a rescue centre with their remaining dog, and the first 3 dogs that they met, their dog just didn't like. It was just obvious she didn't like them. And it was only the 4th dog that their dog met that she immediately took this other dog, and they when they met, they just got on straight away. And so I think the same sort of idea applies to us humans as well. So if you went to a rescue centre, you might see a whole bunch of dogs that you didn't like. Then there'd be one where there just would be some sort of chemistry between you and say, yeah, this is the dog that suits us, and he likes us and we like him, and that's it really. So don't discount rescue dogs, even in the situation that you're describing, okay?
Okay, so this comes in from Lorraine. So I thought my dog might have fleas, but after inspecting her coat, it appears that she has what looks like dandruff. What causes this, and do I need to bring her to the vet?
Well, we don't really talk about dandruff in dogs. What we talk about is, well, it's kind of just it's terminology really, this, but we talk about scaling disorders, and in particular there's a condition called seborrhea, where basically normally what happens in skin is that the skin it forms, and then a few skin cells come off now and again. In a scaling disorder, lots and lots of scales come off all at the same time, and you see what looks like human dandruff in a dog. So there are some cases where this is fixable because it can relate to diet. So a dog that has a poor quality diet, or maybe not enough of the right balance of essential fatty acids or oils in their diet, they can be prone to getting a scaling disorder. So the first thing you can do, and a very simple thing you can do, would be either to change the diet onto a high quality diet, or to start to add a daily capsule of an essential fatty acid to the diet every day. And if you did that, you wouldn't see any difference for about 6 weeks. But after 6 weeks of the new diet or the new nutritional supplement, you would then see the scaling begin to disappear, and you'd see the coat looking a bit shinier as well. So that's a simple thing that you can do. So that's if dietary deficiency is the problem. But there are also some other conditions that can cause dogs to get it, including some inherited skin diseases. Funny enough, including in miniature Schnauzers, one of the things they can be prone to is a skin issue which can cause this, also in golden retrievers. So there are some breed-specific scaling disorders. As well as that, there are some other conditions, allergic type disease, that can cause this too. So I'd say to you, yes, ideally you should go to the vet. The vet will examine your dog and tell you if one of these things is going on. And otherwise, if you think it could be the diet, I suppose a simple thing you can do first is try changing that and see if it fixes it. Okay.
Okay, so this comes in from Irene. So how do I stop my dog constantly sticking her butt into me to have it scratched just above her tail?
Okay, well, the first thing to do is to make sure she's not got something causing the itch, because that can happen. And for example, fleas, when they infect a dog, they tend to settle above the tail, and so they tend to make dogs most itchy around the base of the spine and above the tail. And sometimes dogs can't manage to itch that area too well themselves, and so they might ask you to do it for them. So the first thing I would do is inspect the area very carefully, check for fleas, or check for signs of fleas, like little bits of dried blood and so on. Or even use a routine anti-flea treatment. There's some really effective anti-flea treatments you can get now, including things like tablets, like one tablet that protects your dog against fleas for 3 full months. So there's a number of things you can use that will help to make sure that fleas aren't the issue. Other than that, I guess it is just possible that she could just like doing it. She just likes being scratched in that bit by you because it's part of the things that she enjoys. And if that's the case, the simple answer is stop doing it. because every time you do it, you reward her because she likes it, and therefore she's going to keep coming back to you for more. So what you might do then is try to find something else to do when she comes up to you wanting that bit of her body scratched. You might, for example, have get her to sit and stay, and then after she's sat and stayed for a few minutes, you give her a treat of some kind. Or you might, if she likes chasing a ball, you might go and get a ball and throw that for her and distract her from doing this. So I hope that's a few thoughts that might help anyway.
Okay, so this comes in from James. So my 5-year-old German Shepherd has started randomly attacking my 12-year-old collie. Both are females and they've been living together for 4 years. It only seems to happen when my wife is around or near them.
But that's interesting, and it's a good example of how the social mix of a household is important. Pretty hard to sort that out. I think perhaps the main thing that's happening there is that the older collie may always have been quite confident and strong-willed, and what's happened is as she's got older, she's got a little bit less able to hold the boundaries, to draw the lines, and the younger dog has realised this, and they're just beginning to push a bit now. And it may be that the dog has also realised that when your wife is there, she's a little bit less able to deal with it perhaps than you are, and so the dog's learned, oh, I can do what I want here, and there's no repercussions. I guess what I would try to do is to manage the situation, try to spot when it happens. So there are some particular reasons, or there are times when there's increased I suppose sensitivity around, for example, when dogs are being fed, or when there's visitors to a house, or maybe when somebody's cooking and there's the smell of tasty food. On these kind of instances, if there's conflict under the surface, the conflict can come to a head, and there can be actually an incident. So try and spot the times when this happens, and then separate the dogs during those times. For example, if you are preparing food for a meal, what you might do is you might put one dog in the utility room or outside or something. Or if you feed the dogs, make sure you feed them in different rooms. Try to spot when it's more likely to happen and avoid those situations. Other than that, it's a difficult situation because if they were teenagers, you could sit them down and have words with them, but you can't do that with dogs.
Okay, so this is the final question. So I'm dog sitting for my brother. The dog is a mongrel and is aged around 1.5 years old, but he won't stop digging holes in the garden. How do I stop him?
Bottom line is you can't. Dogs love digging, not all dogs, but some dogs. Digging for them is like ecstasy. It's like it gives them a buzz, it gives them a thrill, it's happiness. And so a dog is always going to dig, and that's it. So you can't stop a dog. What you can do is get them focused to do it somewhere. So the best answer I've heard is to take a small piece of your garden that you don't mind sacrificing and make that the dog digging area, and even encourage the dog to dig there. You might even bury some things there and encourage the dog to go there. And if you do that, then the dog will get rid of all that digging instinct and digging enthusiasm in that bit of the garden, and they'll leave your precious, immaculate garden untouched. That's the theory anyway, so the best of luck. Okay guys, I've got to go now. Thanks a lot for your questions and for your attention, and I'll talk to you again next week.